Hi everyone, today I'm going to roast some veggies and I want to show you this recipe because it's one of my favorites. Another one that I just kind of make up as I go, but the process of roasting veggies is something that I want you to see. And I'm also going to put some bakeable cheese in it. This is the kind that I get. I got it at Simon's Cheese. I think they have it at Pick and Save as well. And they have like Parmesan and different flavors. You can get like Italian seasoning in it. So that's the cheese I'm going to add to my roasted veggies. I'm going to cut up these two peppers. This one has been in the fridge for a little while. You can see it's kind of wrinkly and ready, almost going to go bad. So roasting veggies is a great way to use up whatever stuff you have left. Same with the zucchini. It's been in there a little while. It's starting to get a little old. And then some yellow squash. I have the grape tomatoes, a red onion, and then this big chunk of sourdough bread. I'll show you what I do with that at the end. And then I'm just going to drizzle avocado oil on them and salt, and we'll roast them for a little while and go from there. So I'll prep the veggies and the cheese and get everything organized, and then I'll show you my steps. All right, so what I have here are, my veggies are all cut up and I have them on a sheet pan. What I wanted to point out is when I was cutting them up, you always want to make sure you have even, sort of even pieces. You don't want some of them to be real small and some to be real big because they'll cook unevenly. And I also am mixing vegetables here. I don't like to recommend that to you guys because different veggies take different amounts of time. But for what I have here, they're all very high moisture content veggies. So like something like cauliflower is very dense and it doesn't have a lot of moisture in it, where these are all very high in water content. So they're going to all kind of cook pretty quickly, or at the same time at least. So I have my tray of veggies. The other thing that you always want to do, so we're cutting up even sizes, and you can even see like my onions, I have some pretty decent pieces there. The other thing you want to do is not crowd the pan, because you want the heat of the oven to get to the veggies. So to prevent that, I'm going to actually take out about half the veggies. I'm just going to break it into 2 meals and I'll roast the other set of vegetables later. This particular recipe with the bread that goes in it later, I'll tell you about that. I don't like to make too much of it or eat it as leftovers because the bread will get soggy if it sits for a while in the fridge. So I'm going to take off half the veggies. I put them all in the pan first just so I can mix them up and then take out part of it and save that just cut up like that in the fridge, and they will last me for another meal. So I'm just going to grab a couple handfuls of them out and store them in this container. And then the rest of these will be what I roast for my dinner. And then I have the cheese here as well. So I'll sprinkle half of that in this pan, and then half of it will go over here in my container, which isn't big enough for everything, but that's okay. So when you roast veggies, you want a really high temperature. I have my oven at 450 degrees. What's going to happen is the vegetables will caramelize. The part touching the pan is going to get the most caramelization. The hot heat from the oven is going to work on the top sides of the vegetables as well. And then I am going to flip them part way through. I'm going to go about 10 minutes and then I'll check them and perhaps flip them at that point and then go a little bit longer. Just to make sure that I get them to the desired doneness. The other thing we need when we are roasting vegetables, my dog is playing with her Kong in the background, so if you hear weird noises, it's just Figgy. When you roast veggies, you need some oil on there. So I have avocado oil. At school we use olive oil, but you just want to drizzle some oil on. You don't want a ton of oil. You don't want to deep fry your vegetables in the oven. That's not the point. We want to roast them. So and then I'm going to put a layer of salt on. A layer, that sounds awful. A sprinkle of salt on everywhere. And then I'm just going to kind of mix them around with my hands so the oil gets all over all of the vegetables. Nice thin coat on there. What we do at school when we roast veggies is I'll have you guys dump your veggies in a bowl and then add the oil and the salt to the bowl, and then you can, I don't like this one, then you take them out of the bowl and put them on the pan, just so if we have extra oil, you don't end up with too much oil on your pan. So this is what it looks like before it goes in the oven at 450 for about 10 minutes. I just want to talk about this bakeable cheese. It's going to hold its shape. You can't just like cut up cheddar and throw it in here. That would burn and it would get bad. So I'll show you specifically the cheese once that cooks so you can see what that looks like. So 10 minutes like this, salt, olive oil, veggies mixed together, single layer on a pan, even cut pieces. The tomatoes, let's talk about those. They are going to pop and their juices will come out, but the sourdough is going to soak that up, and I'll tell you about that when I do that step. So while this is in the oven, I am going to cut my sourdough into like crouton sort of cube shapes, similar sort of in size. They'll go in like the last few minutes just to, they'll soak up the juices that are on the pan, and they'll get kind of toasty. I might even stick it under the broiler. We'll have to see what it looks like at that point. So I'll meet you back here in 10 minutes. Okay, I took them out of the oven. This actually went for 20 minutes is what we're looking at here. And I also sprinkled some oregano on because I wanted to season with some oregano. And I'm just going to flip them over, and I want them to go a little bit longer. I don't think these are done yet, but I'm going to kind of stir them around so that they get, the tops and bottoms get flipped over. So you can see they're not really golden brown yet on the parts that were on the bottom of the pan, so I'm going to let them go a little bit longer, and then we'll check back. Okay, so I took the vegetables out. I put them, that was a total of 35 minutes, and you can see they're golden brown and sort of caramelized. You can see some charring on the edges, so that's exactly what I'm looking for in my veggies. This is the baked cheese. Can you see that piece right here? So it holds its shape pretty much. It kind of oozes a little bit. If you remember, it was kind of golden brown when I cut it up, so that's just the browning on it. No big deal. Here's another piece. This one was towards the edge of the pan, so it kind of spread out a little more. But it definitely holds its shape, and it's like a nice, delicious little piece of cheese in the middle of your vegetables. So what I'm going to do next, I have some Kalamata olives. Those olives are like my favorite food, so throwing some of those on there. And then the bread that I cut up. And then I'm just going to stir this all up. I want the bread to kind of get down to the pan so that it can mingle with all the juices from the veggies. All right, so I'm just going to spread this out. I'm going to put it back in the oven. Maybe I'll check it after 3 minutes, but I'm going to guess probably 5 is where I want it. I just want the bread to kind of toast up a little bit. So that's that. So I put it back in with the bread in for about 8 minutes, I think it was. I stirred it after like 3, but you can kind of hear that it's crispy on the outside, but it's not going to be like super hard like a crouton. It's still going to be kind of chewy. So there's my final product, my roasted veggies with bakeable cheese, sourdough, and some Kalamata olives.